and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and it's time for my Game Week 17 team selection video. The video where I'm going to show you my scores from last week as well as my moves and captaincy for Game Week 17. And it's a tough week this week. It really is, including urgent Haaland situations that need to be dealt with. I'm going to share it all in this video. Make sure you drop a like, make sure you do subscribe. Let's have a look at my scores from last week. So, starting off with Game Week 16, and I'm not really too sure how to feel about this Game Week, to be honest, because it was a green arrow, and a pretty healthy green arrow, really, up from 318k to 256k, which is not really anything to be disappointed by. But when you look at where my points came from, it was the lucky Salah vice-captaincy that managed to pull me through with that Erling Haaland injury, and Heung-min Son and his amazing haul. Now, of course, I can be happy that I managed to keep Son through this run. I know a lot of people were selling him, but I was very convinced by keeping Son. And I did get the points from him, and I did get the points from Salah. But when you look through this team, those are the only two players that got any points for me. Every other player here blanked. Unreal. How on earth has this happened? Of course, another disappointing thing was I ended up going for Brennan Johnson as my Mbermo replacement rather than Tavernier. Yes, I was so close to going for Tavernier, who obviously did really well in Game Week 16. I bottled it and went for Brennan Johnson as I thought he was a slightly better longer-term option for me. And although Johnson did outscore a lot of the other Mbermo replacements, it was only really by 1 or 2 points because a lot of those guys got 1 or 2 points. So, yeah, it's a weird one. Don't really feel too happy about it, but I mean, I guess it's a green arrow. I just want more of my players to be scoring FPL points. That's the point of it, right? Not very fun when only 2 of your players are getting the points. I want to see some more. Before we look at my Game Week 17 team, I'd love you to check out the FPL merch we're making. Now, recently we launched the new website fanprints.uk to provide you guys with personalised prints, mugs, and much more. These make great Christmas presents for football fans or a treat for yourself. I've already copped an FPL captain mug and a personalised Arsenal-style print, and I've also got this snazzy VAR humbug Christmas jumper. Last week we also added a new collection of FPL-themed mugs, and a lot of time and money has gone into making these products, and I'm super proud of how everything has come out. Fanprints are shipping worldwide, so nobody misses out, and FPL Mate viewers can get an exclusive 20% discount on purchases by using code FPLMate, all one word, at checkout. So check out fanprints.uk by clicking the link at the top of the description or the pinned comment. Today is your last chance to order for guaranteed Christmas delivery in the UK, so be quick. It's the best way to support this channel and you get something awesome in return. So unlike in FPL, everybody wins. Moving on into Game Week 17, we've got one free transfer, we've got a little bit of money in the bank as well, and we have got some issues to deal with, which I do need to tell you guys about today. Maybe you guys are in a similar situation, but let's start off in goal with Dubravka. Now, thankfully, there was some rumours about Dubravka being maybe injured or something like that. It turns out that was false. He's absolutely fine. He played, obviously, in the Champions League game, so no real concerns there. He's got a home game against Fulham, which I think is positive. I think Newcastle slightly better at home. They have disappointed recently defensively though, and I think that is a worry. I don't think that's any fault of Dubravka's. He did make 7 saves last game week, so it was definitely helping Newcastle out where he could. And I think it's individual mistakes from Trippier that have actually cost Newcastle a lot of goals recently, which is kind of disappointing. But on the other hand, where there could be a little bit of positivity looking at the Newcastle defence moving forward, it is a game against Fulham, and Fulham have just scored 5 goals in back-to-back games. Now, will they do that again against Newcastle? I'm not so convinced by that one, but I still do worry a bit. Is Dubravka going to be able to keep a clean sheet in this game? Can Newcastle redeem themselves from all of the goals they've conceded recently? Don't know really, guys. I'm really not sure. It's a tough situation indeed, but at 4.1 million, it can't really go too wrong here. I don't think there's many great goalkeepers this game week. After this game week, I think the goalkeeper situation and the options in goal do improve, but for now, not really. Into defence, we have got Gabriel. I'm a little bit worried about his minutes because he did play the full game in the Champions League, whereas Saliba was actually substituted off. So there is a small chance of rotation here, but in general, Gabriel is one of those fairly nailed-on players, and I think a Brighton game at home is going to be a really important game. It's a really big game for Arsenal to make sure they do pick up points here, and actually have been a little bit disappointed in Brighton's kind of attack recently. They have managed to score at least 1 goal in each of their games this season, but I don't think they're quite as potent of an attack of late. They have also got a Thursday night game where they're going to have to go full strength. Arsenal much more well rested, playing a second string team mostly in the Champions League, so I do think it will be a good opportunity and a good time for Arsenal to play against Brighton, and they're still tracking as as the best defensive numbers in the Premier League right now. So underlying numbers suggest Arsenal's defence is still great. Let's see if they can make good on that, really. Next up, we've got Matty Cash. Am I confident about him? No, I'm not, but I am on. I'm down to shoestrings right now, guys. I really am. Cash, of course, starting in Europe again tonight, which is not really what I wanted to see. I think now Cash has started in that game in Europe. Is he now going to get rested against Brentford? I think that's a strong possibility. Maybe Cash plays against Sheffield United, but if he's not going to play against Brentford, what's the best that could happen? A one-pointer off the bench? That's not even guaranteed. And I can't exactly cover Cash for my bench this week, as you'll see shortly. So not really too happy about this pick at the moment. And it's kind of, in many ways, surprising that I haven't sold him yet. I just didn't think this consistent benching situation with Cash would continue for so long. It's been 4 Premier League games in a row now where he hasn't played the full game. So, yeah, it might have to be a sell. We've got Ait Nouri here. He has been declared fit for this game week. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to start either, though, which is another problem. I think West Ham is a good time to play them as well. Obviously, they have a midweek football. And also, West Ham haven't been in great form recently as well. But Ait Nouri, I think, in general, he is a fantastic pick when he plays. The problem is, since he's been injured, since basically the entire time since I bought him, is he going to be back now or not? If he is, great. Wolves have got some great defensive numbers, and I think they can keep clean sheets against anyone at the moment. And even in this run, West Ham, Chelsea, Brentford, Everton, I think there could be 2 clean sheets in this run. So I would like to have Ait Nouri for this run. But is this week going to come too soon for him? He has been declared fit. He's been in full training all week. Will he actually play, though? I don't know. So, again, I'm in a little bit of trouble here, guys. Moving into midfield, we've got Mo Salah. Finally, a player I'm not in trouble with. He's been rested for the European game, which is great news. In a home game against Manchester United, who are injury-stricken, losing Luke Shaw in the midweek, Harry Maguire in the midweek. It's not Bruno Fernandes. He's not going to be available in this game as well. Man United already struggle against the big teams, so they are going to be in big trouble in this game. Salah at home as well. We've seen what Liverpool have done in the past to Manchester United. We've seen what good teams have done to Manchester United in the past, not even in the so distant past either. So Salah against Man United, this could be huge. It actually could be huge. No disrespect, Manchester United fans, but I think a lot of you guys have even been admitting in the comment section recently that you are really worried about this game. And if you lose 3-0, then, you know, you probably take that at this point because it really could be an absolute disaster. But moving on to Heung-min Son, a player who has that potential to score those super high scores. We've seen that time and time and again. Yes, he will blank occasionally, but on other times, he'll score a 17-pointer. And I think this is one of those games where that could happen. Nottingham Forest, they haven't been great recently, but they have recently moved back to a kind of a back 5 formation to try and deal with their defensive issues because, believe me, they do have defensive issues. But knowing Son is on penalties, knowing he has been able to be a bit creative recently, particularly with Richarlison in the team with him, that's positive signs. And I think the avenues that Son can go down to get FPL points has improved, has increased. So I do like that one a lot. So definitely a player I'll be looking to hold for as long as I can, certainly until he leaves for AFCON. The Asia Cup. If Salah's leaving for AFCON, Son would go to the Asia Cup. Be a bit strange if they went to the opposite tournaments, wouldn't it? Saka is the next player. Again, against Brighton, I think it's a good time to play them. Saka, nice and rested. Brighton, very not nice and rested. And I think Arsenal could do some damage here. But is it going to be Saka? Is it going to be Martinelli if he's fit? Is it going to be Erdegaard, Jesus, Trossard, Kai Havertz, Declan Rice? So many different players are contributing into the goals right now. And at 9 million, I'm not sure Saka is great value for money anymore. But still, if you can afford him, he should tick along nicely. And you would expect at least an assist in a game like this. I mean, come on. Surely we can have that, right? Next up, Brennan Johnson. My transfer from last game week actually came super close to scoring on multiple times. I mean, he hit the inside of the post. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a goal for Brennan. It didn't happen, but he's showing some really positive signs. He looks lively. He is in some dangerous areas non-stop. Really, really do like this pick. And a super differential as well. I mean, I'm trying to add some differentials to my FPL team because I am worried FPL's getting a little bit boring. Everyone going for similar players. So we're going to try and mix it up a little bit. And Brennan Johnson is the start of that, I hope. So, yeah. Again, Nottingham Forest is a good fixture. If Son isn't able to do his run-ins behinds, then maybe Johnson on the ball, kind of a bit more of a dribbly player, a little bit more of a technical player, might be actually a key to unlocking the Nottingham Forest defence and maybe the defences that they have to play after that as well. So, Brennan Johnson, like him as a pick. Next up, Cole Palmer. Disappointing last game week, but in general, he has been an absolute diamond, an absolute gem. And against Sheffield United at home, next game, knowing how good this player is, how good his form has been since he came into the Chelsea team, I'm not worried at all. I think he will do very, very well indeed. So, and a really exciting player to own this week. I think any Chelsea attacker you own this week is going to be exciting for the Sheffield United game. I mean, it's an exciting fixture to play if you've got an FPL asset in this fixture, isn't it? So yeah, fingers crossed for Palmer to get open play, attacking returns, and maybe a cheeky penalty as well. Moving up front, we have got Erling Haaland, and this is a bit of a problem because we don't know if he is going to be fit and available or not. We know that he hasn't been in the country. You know, he has actually only returned to England and to Manchester this evening. So he has only recently returned, so he's not been assessed today. He'll presumably be at training tomorrow, but will Pep Guardiola be able to give us any more information? I think probably not. It's a Friday deadline, so it's not like we can wait until Saturday for more info to see if he's travelled with the squad to Manchester or anything like that. So it's really, really difficult to kind of put a situation. I personally don't think we're going to get any more information on Haaland, so you need to make a decision, really. Do you want to take a risk and hope he plays? If so, he's going to blank next game week anyway. There's definitely, you know, good reason to sell Haaland right now because I don't think it's looking super likely that he's going to start. It's probably more likely he doesn't start than does. I can see him maybe making the bench, of course, but I think that's almost the best case scenario here. I can't see him playing a full game against Palace, and maybe some other players could score some more points. And finally, we've got Alexander Isak, who at the beginning of the week I was really worried about, but Callum Wilson, who has just returned from injury, played 90 minutes in the Champions League. Is there any chance that Callum Wilson is now going to be able to play again? We'll start another game at the weekend. I'm not sure he is. I think it's going to be Isak straight back into the team. I think Callum Wilson will be benched. And alternatively, the other opportunity is Gordon. Gordon apparently carrying a minor injury at the moment, well, several minor injuries as it would seem because he's played so much football recently. Maybe Gordon is actually going to be the guy who needs the rest and Isak moves over to the left-hand side. So there's actually multiple opportunities that have increased Isak's chances of playing in this Fulham game, which I'm very, very happy about as an Isak owner. So yeah, I'm not so worried. I don't think Isak is so much of a desperate sell this game week because I actually am reasonably confident that he is going to start. And I think even if he gets 2 points, that's good enough at this stage, isn't it? I mean, it's better than playing with 10 men. And I might not even be able to play with 10 men at this game week looking through my team. On my bench, I have got Turner. Plays against Spurs, so he'll stay on the bench. Though good to see him back in the Forest starting lineup. We've got Mubama. Not expecting him to get more than 1 point. And of course, Trippier is suspended for this game week. And Taylor is suspended for this game week as well. So, not good news. Can't rely on my Trippier and my Taylor this week. And that, combined with Erling Haaland and Kashanight Nouri's rotation risk, is leaving me with a situation where I don't know if I'm going to be able to have 11 players on the pitch for this game week. I really don't. We've got, you know, too many players that are just unlikely to start. So it's a problem. It's a real problem. We need to deal with this situation. So I think the main players I'd be willing to sell this game week would of course be Cash and Nouri for the reasons I already mentioned. Cash just doesn't seem to be in the Aston Villa starting 11 for Premier League games anymore. And Aston Villa are doing so well right now. Why would they change things? And Nouri, I'm not sure if he's going to be available for this game week. And it would be nice to have a few game weeks after this week for him. But after that, he is going to be off to AFCON as well. He'll be playing on international duty, so he's going to be missing for a few games come January, which again is a bit of a problem. So it's a situation whereby do I take a risk on Cash and keep him, or do I, keep Nouri and hope he plays against West Ham? Because if he does, I think I'll be pretty happy to hold him over the next few game weeks. We've got Erling Haaland, who's obviously a problem. I don't think we're going to get any information about him, and I have mentioned before, guys, but I was planning on selling Haaland anyway in game week 18 when he blanks and doing a little bit of a hokey-pokey with my forward lineup. And I'm going to share that with you towards the end of the video because I do actually have a good idea of how that might work, and I want to share exactly how that would work, whereby it makes it a lot easier for me to sell Haaland this week. Really am looking at selling him at this point because I've got a plan. So I'm going to share that with you guys. On the bench, guys, I have got Turner, who I think I would be willing to upgrade to another goalkeeper and maybe keep Dubravka as my bench goalkeeper if things go wrong there. Mubama could maybe be upgraded to kind of increase my strength on the bench. Trippier, There's no way I'm selling him. A lot of people will actually be looking to buy him from next game week. I think, yeah, I think Trippier is going to be a player who is really, really a wanted man from next game week. So if I could just hold him on the bench for this week, I think I'm actually going to be 1 week ahead of the curve by keeping him, which is very good news, of course. I actually need to be ahead of the curve in some respects of my team, because I think in other areas of my team, I'm actually behind the curve, and I do need to deal with some issues. We've got Charlie Taylor as well. Could I remove him? Yeah, potentially as well. Missing this game. Not really planning on playing him very much anyway. Could help to improve my squad depth there as well. So let's have a look at some transfer targets. So I've got no goalkeeper transfer targets this week. I just don't think it's a great week for a goalkeeper transfer. I'm kind of half looking at Leno, but Leno is playing away against Newcastle this week, so wouldn't be looking to buy him this week, really. For defenders, we've got Pedro Porro at 5.4 million. He's been on my transfer targets for defenders for weeks now, so obviously, you know, he's a player I admire and I'd like to get in my team at some point. Maybe now is the time to do it if I'm thinking about selling a defender, because I don't have enough defenders to play anyway, so yeah, maybe that'll help. But I am having a look at Pau Torres and Ezri Konsa as well, two slightly cheaper Aston Villa defenders there. I think most people are looking at Pau Torres at 4.7, but Konsa's attacking numbers and nailedness is seemingly just as good as Pau Torres's, and he comes at 0.2 cheaper. So maybe Konsa, particularly as he can play multiple positions, he can obviously play right back, right centre back, central centre back, I guess. You know, he plays a few positions, so I think he is going to be a nailed-on player as well. And like I say, his attacking threat is just as good as Pau Torres's, even though he hasn't necessarily got the same results this season. So, yeah, I like both of those Aston Villa defenders. I think they have improved defensively. I don't mind their fixture against Brentford this week, and also I don't really mind their fixture next week against Sheffield United. I think that could be a clean sheet for Villa. They actually have good defensive numbers generally this season, so I'm not totally surprised to see them finally beginning to pick up some clean sheets. For midfielders, obviously I've got my eye on Richarlison. With Son going off soon, that would mean Richarlison probably be on penalties. Obviously he's going to be a good pick in the future, but also getting game time now, which is nice. We saw his potential really against Newcastle. Tavernier is still on my midfielder watch list, but ultimately with midfielders, I'm pretty set on my midfield right now. So although I am watching these players, targeting these players, I don't think there's actually a transfer move for me to be making right this second. And for forwards, there's only two forwards in my mind that can be my Haaland replacement. It's going to be Watkins or Solanke. Solanke, much better value for money at 6.6 million. He is the great cheap option I could go for there. But Ollie Watkins ultimately is a player I want in my team long term, and I do think I do need to start getting more long-term players into my team, because I've got other little issues to deal with, and I just want to have that safe player that you could just set and forget in your team, basically. And I think we probably know by now that Watkins is just a set and forget kind of player that we just need to hold and keep. Like I said, I don't think Brentford are such a great team at the moment. They've got players missing. They have been disappointed over the last few game weeks. So yeah, I think Watkins could be a good pick. And then the Sheffield United game in game week 18 for Watkins. So nailed on player, long-term hold. Looks like a pretty good pick to me. So yeah, I think Watkins is better, but he's significantly more expensive. Solanke provides better value for money, but Watkins is probably, to me at least, the better pick, particularly for the long term. So here are my options. So first of all, I could just hope that all of my defenders play, aside from the ones I know aren't playing because they're suspended, and just remove Haaland. No hit taken there. Remove Haaland, replace him with Watkins. I think that would be a pretty wise move. I'd have at least a guaranteed start probably for all of my attacking players, and since defenders aren't really scoring many points anyway, then I haven't really lost out on that much. Even if one of my defenders or two of my defenders are benched or just get 1 pointers, I mean, defenders have been kind of doing that anyway, whether they start games or not, haven't they? So maybe it's not a big deal, and I can just forget about the defense, ignore the defense, neglect the defense, because it doesn't matter. They're not getting points. Forget about them. Just sort out the Haaland situation. Secondly, I can fix my defense. We can go for Haaland, of course, to Watkins still, but take the -4 and do cash to Pedro Porro, the defender I want more than anyone else right now. So deal with a cash player who has been a real pain in my FPL team for quite some time, a constant headache player, and just replace him with someone much more secure, looks really good, great attacking potential, and hopefully Spurs can start keeping some clean sheets as well. Or I could improve my squad depth. So instead of removing cash, I could do Haaland and Taylor to Watkins and Konsa. So we would be going for a slightly cheaper defensive option because we're selling a slightly cheaper defender. And I do want to make sure I do have money in my bank to re-upgrade Haaland. So I'm not really prepared to throw all of my freed up Haaland cash into upgrading my bench too much. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I have very easy access to Haaland to get him back into my team as quickly as possible. Like I say, I am going to share with you how I plan on doing that towards the end of the video in like a minute. So yeah, stay tuned. There's various options here. I think the one I'm leaning to is the one I'm about to show you. So, okay, let's throw it on screen, guys. So, yeah, this is the move I am looking at the most. The Haaland to Watkins, that's happening most likely. And I think I like Cash to Pedro Porro. With Cash playing it in Europe, I think Porro is just a great replacement for him. This improves my team. And this is a transfer move I've wanted to make every week for like the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I think it's just time to finally pull the trigger. And I think at this point, with this team that looks more like this, I think the only risk player now is Ait-Nouri. And after this game week, Ait-Nouri is presumably going to be more fit, more available, more ready to go because he is the first choice left back for Wolves whenever he is fit. And he's a fantastic player at that. And I also have Trippier back for next game week as well. So I will be able to deal with that situation. I'll have no blanking players for game week 18 as well, which is going to be really, really positive. So no Brentford, no Manchester City. That's going to be amazing. So I'll be really set up well for game week 18. And yeah, it will allow me to execute my almighty plan. Now, before I show you the plan, I want to say I'm going to captain Salah this week against Manchester United. I'm pretty much decided on that one. Probably won't budge on that one. Yeah, that's pretty much confirmed. I'll put the vice-captain on Son as well because, yeah, I love Son. I think he's a fantastic football player and always has the potential to score huge FPL points no matter who he plays. Just hope that his teammates Pedro Porro can keep a clean sheet, maybe get an assist there with all of his set pieces, and Johnson can maybe help Son to get some goals, or maybe Son can help Johnson to get some goals as well. So, yeah, there we go. That's going to be my team for game week 17. Most likely, I haven't made any transfers yet, but let me share with you guys just exactly what my plan is to get Haaland back. Okay, guys, so I am on the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool. Now, they're actually running a deal at the moment, guys, where you can get full access to all of the tools that I use all the time on Fantasy Football Hub for free for 30 days. So if you want to navigate this difficult December period and you need some tools to help you out, whether it's the Opta stats, the suggested transfers from AI, or the team planning tool to do exactly what I'm going to be doing in this video, then check out the link in the description to Fantasy Football Hub and you can get all of this, sign up for a 30-day free trial. Why not? Free stuff. You love it, right? But anyway, guys, let's have a look at this team, right? So I've made my transfers already on this app. So we've done the Porro and Watkins moves. So moving on into game week 18, we can bring Trippier back into the team. And I think this looks pretty good. This is a pretty strong team for game week 18. It also allows me to actually bench Gabriel against Liverpool, which I think is going to be advantageous. I think Ait-Nouri will be back by this point. Not ideal that Palmer and Ait-Nouri are playing against each other, but still, you can't have it all, particularly on a blank game week. But in general, the rest of the team looks really good. We've got triple Newcastle against Luton. We've got triple Spurs against Everton, although I'm not sure how good that is anymore. And of course, we'll have Watkins against Sheffield United as well. But the following game week, we need to figure out a plan of getting Erling Haaland back. So by game week 18, presuming I make 0 transfers in game week 18, this is what I can do. I can use my 2 free transfers to bring Haaland back in my team. So you'll see I sold Haaland and bought in Watkins. Watkins is a player I want long-term, but I've already spoken about the fact I don't want Isak long-term, particularly with Wilson back. There is going to be rotation. So this is an opportunity for me to deal with the Isak situation. So although it looks like I've done 2 transfers to remove Haaland and bring him back into my team, actually it's more like 1 transfer because I would have probably moved the Isak to Watkins at this point anyway. So actually, really, I've used 1 transfer to remove Haaland and get him back in, which I think is not a situation that everyone will have, but it's certainly something that I have an opportunity to do. Now, here is where things get tough. I have 0.4 million, well, minus 0.4 million in my bank right now. I need to free up some cash somehow. So how am I going to do that? Well, Ait-Nouri, we already spoken about the fact that Ait-Nouri will be going off to AFCON soon. So another situation I need to deal with. So we ditch Ait-Nouri and we bring in Malo Gusto, who is currently actually, he's lacking match fitness. So he's not quite ready to start. But I'm hoping by this point, he'll actually become an option again. And with Reece James out for so many months, Malo Gusto is going to be the main starting right back for Chelsea again during a phenomenal run of fixtures. So Gusto is actually going to be a really, really good pick by this point. Now, it looks tight.
it looks like I'm not going to be able to quite afford this if there's any price changes, because it leaves me with nothing in the bank. However, Gusto is close to a price drop. He's going to be going down to 4 million by the time I make this transfer, so we'll have 0.1 to play with there as an emergency. But also Haaland, I imagine by this point, Haaland will be down to 13.9 million as well. So very easily affordable, no matter if there's price changes or not. I think I'll be able to do this. I think I'll be able to afford to make these moves and reverse my moves with no cost whatsoever. One transfer move essentially used, no hits taken in Game Week 18 or 19 in order to get Haaland back. A very easy and simple transaction to get it done. Is it a good plan? I don't know. I think it's a pretty good one. There are definitely other plans involving, selling Haaland and still making it work for you. I'm not going to share them in tomorrow morning's video, but just wanted to share with you what my plan might be in order to get a really nice team and sacrifice Haaland and be set up for Game Week 18 and not have to worry about Haaland this week and have everything, hopefully going to plan. Of course, with FPL, it never really does it? But guys, make sure you check out Fantasy Football Hub, link in the description for that 30-day free trial to try this tool and many, many others for yourself. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this one, make sure you drop a like. Do subscribe if you're new around here. And let me know what you thought about my plan and my team in general. And let me know if you're in big trouble as well, because misery loves company. Don't forget to check out fanprints.uk. Again, link in the description for that if you want to check out any of our products there. You want to make a purchase for Christmas, now is the time to do it before it's too late. But aside from that, guys, I'll see you on tomorrow's final roundup video. And I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.